In this particular video, I'll be talking about the cheapest ways to get your flight hours in order to move on with your career. Lately, we've been seeing a recent surge in pilot hiring by regional airlines, major airlines, and also even the Part 135 operators. This is good news for you if you're looking forward to joining the airlines soon. Now, there are certain requirements that applies to different individuals. For example, if you attended a Part 142 school, your hours will be different from someone that just went to a Part 61 flight school or Part 141 flight school. So the whole idea behind this subject is geared towards everyone trying to get hours in the cheapest way possible. If you're new on my channel, my name is Stephen Ojo, and currently I'm a regional airline pilot. I started this journey back in 2010, and I went through the same route that you probably taken, flight school, whether college, and all this steps in order to get to this stage right now. Of course, it is an expensive process, and you know that already, and that's why a lot of us are always looking for cheapest ways to save, cheapest ways to get our hours. So this video is geared towards those guys that are probably trying to get your hours, and I hope that you will find value in it. Please, as you watch the video, if you find value at any point, give it a thumbs up. And also, if you have questions, feel free to ask your questions below. One of the questions that I actually got from a subscriber of mine with the name Survival Dude, he said, "Hey man, I want to be a pilot in a reasonable amount of time. How could I get some cheap flight hours while I'm in college with just my private pilot license?" This question is actually what has inspired this video. And that's why I always encourage you guys to please leave your comments, your questions, in the description below, and I will get to them. The reason why I do that is because it's very hard to know what you guys really want. I mean, we make a ton of videos, but if you guys are not interested in it, well, it makes no sense. So I would always like to make videos that will be helpful to someone out there. Now, the first way that I will encourage you to go about getting your hours is to become a flight instructor. To be honest, majority of the people at the regional level got their hours through flight instruction. You basically get your ratings up to commercial level, you get your certified flight instructor ratings as well, and at that point you begin to teach at the flight school and you earn some money along the way. The reason why this is the cheapest way is because, well, you have to commit to the training first, but once you are done with the training and you start to teach somebody else, well, it's pretty much free flight hours. Of course, you have a duty and obligation to deliver on the subjects that you're teaching this new and upcoming pilots, but the point is you are able to earn hours along the way. So you can do this up to the hours that you need, and then you move on to the regional airlines that you want to join. But at the end of the day, it is still one of the cheapest ways to go. Now, I understand that not everybody is willing to become an instructor because it takes time. It could be also expensive for some people because by the time you get to a commercial level, I know a lot of people that just don't have the extra money to keep going, and they're just looking for alternative measures or alternative ways to get these hours because they still want to be in the industry. So that leads me to my second point, is to become a pilot for parachute jumping, or a pilot for aerial photography, a pilot for people that are interested in surveying lands and things of this nature. And I've met people like that. I got the hours just by doing search. The next point is to rent an airplane. Like I said, not everybody wants to become an instructor because probably they just don't enjoy that, and for that reason they want to get the hours through other ways, like to rent an airplane. So if you go to like an FBO, you can always find flight schools, or you can always find people that are willing to rent the airplane to you, and you can always rent these airplanes for cheap and get your hours like that. This leads to my next point, which is to rent an airplane with somebody else. So if you are two in a group, you can pretty much become a safety pilot, and you guys would fly cross-country flights to share the hours. And of course, you have to make sure that you do this the right way. That way, you get your hours along with each other pretty much, and it's obviously the cheap way to go. This next point is to become a Civil Air Patrol member. Now, there's so many opportunities in your local areas that you just need to just do a quick Google search about Civil Air Patrol in your local area, and you can go there to meet them. But the only downside that I've seen with this is that you probably will not get to fly as much, and it depends on the mission that is that they're undertaking at that point will determine the requirements also that you would have to have. For example, some missions will require that you have PIC time and cross-country times and things of that nature, whereas some can just be a simple thing as search and rescue operation. With this next point, I'm going to assume that you've somehow gotten your 500 hours. Well, because most Part 135 operators require that you have at least 500 hours, and these are small Part 135 operators with small jets that often need like an SIC or maybe a PIC, but of course you cannot become a PIC right away. You generally just become a SIC first before you're moving into the left seat as a PIC. Now, let's assume that you finished your private pilot's commercial and instrument rating with, I'm going to assume here just a random number, about 150 hours. You will need to still make up for the 500 hours to get up to 500 hours. So in that case, you can rent an airplane, you can become a safety pilot, you can try to flight instruct. Those are the ways. But if you then get to your 500 hours, you now have more options. You can then become a Part 135 pilot or join an operator and fly for them. The reason why this is an important step is because not everyone is willing to instruct for a long time to get their 1500 hours or their 1000 hours. So some people will just get it up to 500 hours and then they move to a 135 operator. Assuming you are not an instructor and you're just renting an airplane or you're just flying as a safety pilot for a friend, this would also mean that you can't keep renting an airplane for too long because it's also costing you money. So by reaching your 500 hours, you can then start to apply to these Part 135 operators. The last point that I would like to share with you in this video really can be controversial because it depends on who you are doing this business with, and that is to buy an airplane. I've met some people that chose to buy an airplane and they were able to build their hours like that. Go to a bank, contribute a down payment for the type of airplane you want to buy. Let's say it's a Cessna 152 or Cessna 172. You guys contribute a down payment, go to a bank, you would co-sign on a loan to buy the airplane. After buying this airplane, you guys will pretty much fly this airplane, and at the end of your time building, you guys would choose to sell this airplane and then split the profit if you make some profit. But of course, this is a bit difficult for someone that is, maybe young, so you might need the help of someone that is more experienced in that field that can guide you through this process. But it's a possibility, and it's one of the ways that I know that some parents help their kids to get flight hours. I know of a particular parent that actually bought an airplane for their kid to get the flight hours, and that's how they speed up the process, because once it's an airplane, you don't have to worry about availability and things of that nature other than just the maintenance and gas, and you just choose to fly anywhere. And to be honest, it's one of the fun ways to build flight time and experience. Now, out of all of these options, the way that I chose when I started this journey was to become a flight instructor. I am still a flight instructor with the current certificate, although I do not actively teach people how to fly because I'm busy with my full-time job as an airline pilot. And honestly, on my day off, the last thing I want to do is to get on an airplane again. So get the idea. So the point here is it is very important that you look for what will work for you. Some people may not be able to teach. Some people may not have the money to even become flight instructor. You just have to seek opportunities around you. Now, there's one last one I'm just going to add to this one for international people that came from abroad. You have to understand that coming from abroad, you may not need a lot of hours. For example, I know some countries that only need 250 hours as the minimum requirement to join an airline, and they will fly jets. So if you belong in that part of, in that group, then you don't have to worry about trying to get your hours to 1,000 hours or 1,500. But of course, you're encouraged to get as many hours as you can, because the more hours you have, the more opportunities you tend to be able to capture, especially as you go back home to fly. Well, that's pretty much all I got for this video. If you have any questions, again, please drop it in the comment section below. I will reply to them. And if I don't know answers to them, I will let you know that I do not have answers to them. But feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below. I'll see you next time.